Hello and welcome to my friend's garage.
This video is going to be an update on project 996. I've done quite a bit of work over the last few months on the car. The biggest thing I did was install some H&R Street Coilovers. You can see it was way too low after I first put them on, but I got that adjusted right. Other work I've done was control arms, lower control arms in the front, sway bar end links front and rear. Did motor mounts, played with the shifter to improve the shifter feel. Did a paint correction on the car. And yeah, so hope you enjoy. And this is also just serving as a record for me to remember what I did. Okay, so after driving the car a bit, I noticed the shifting feel was not great. And so you can see I'm starting to take apart the center console here and start to play with the shifter.
Okay, I got it. I got my shims in there. And got it bolted down so everything's tight now. This doesn't move at all. This feels way better.
I ended up replacing the motor mounts as well, and this actually made a huge difference in the shifting feel. You can see the new ones on the left. It's quite a bit shorter. The biggest change that I noticed was that first to second gear shift. I pulled the shift boot out of the car because there were some defects in the finish you can see there. I used JB Weld to kind of fill it, then sanded it, and then I ended up painting this part black just because everything else in the interior is black. This brings us to the paint correction phase. This took me about 2 days, and you can see I'm starting with the clay bar here, just removing contaminants from the paint. The next step is to compound the car, and so I used Meguiar's 205. It's not very aggressive. I wanted to start with something less aggressive because it's been a while since I've done compounding. So I'm looking at the paint here with a flashlight to see how good a job the compounding is doing at removing scratches. And then here's a clip of just compounding the door. You know, I watched a lot of Ammo NYC videos on YouTube to kind of get a refresher on how to do all this stuff.
All right, I just finished just putting the wax layer, or the sealant layer on. So just waiting for it to dry, and then I'll wipe it off. But I want to show you the sunset out here. It does smell like we just got back from a drive. It smells like it's coming from the middle of the car. So I'm going to see if I can find the fuel line that goes from front to back. See if I can find anything there. First, I need to put it in the air. I found the gas leak. See it bubbling out? You might not be able to. To reach up there from the bottom, I need this long with it. And then if you've never seen these before, I'm using crow's foot wrenches. So they're kind of cool. They just pop onto the end here. And then I can reach up in there and try and tighten that AN fitting. I was able to reach that AN, the end of the fitting, I don't know what I'm trying to call it, with the crow's foot wrench and turn it a little bit. I'm going to start the car now and see if I can see fuel still coming out, or if I need to tighten it more. Okay, so I just got it back in the garage after the drive. I'm sticking my face in here. I don't smell any gas.
This leads us into the section of coilovers. I purchased a used set of H&R Street Coilovers from a person on the Renlist forum, and I took a little bit of a chance on them. They were used, but not that many miles, and they'd actually come from a turbo, not a 9961 Carrera 4. So a couple unknowns here, but you can see I have everything laid out, and it all looked pretty good. Springs, the dampers, and all the pieces look to be in pretty good shape. Alrighty, here we go. We're getting ready for the H&R coilover install.
So I just got off the phone with H&R. I was a little confused on how these go together, but I think I have it sorted out. The rear I was most confused about. You could see earlier, I had a total of 6 springs. And then here it is. I have the rear kind of assembled. So this part here is going to attach to my sway bar end link. And then I have the smaller spring. I can't remember what H&R calls it. And then the bigger one. And there's like a little ring sleeve here in between them. So I think I have this I'm starting to figure this out.
Here I am beginning to remove all the original springs and struts from the car. This did take a while. I have a whole video on that if you want to see how to remove the front and rear struts from a 996.
Okay, just got my butt kicked getting the first strut out, but I had to use the spring compressors. You see, I rented these from Napa. It's getting messy in here. All right, so I got some parts from AZ Auto Haas for the 996 for the coilovers, bump stops for the rear. These are the sway bar end links for the rear. This is like the strut mounts for the top. The goal now is to put it all together, get these coilovers built, like get the front and rear units ready to go in, and then from there it shouldn't be too bad. But I have quite a bit of work to do to prepare each, the front and rear. First things first, I'm going to be re-greasing the bearings in the top of the front strut, so I'll show you that.
So I decided to refresh these bearings myself instead of buying new ones. I think the cost of the new ones was like $100 for both. So, this is just pulling all the gunk out. I soaked the ball bearings in some gasoline to get all the old grease out. Clean this lower cup. Got some brake cleaner here, and you can see I'm applying the new grease into the ball bearings. And then finally just testing, making sure it all works together really well. Oh yeah, and then more grease.
Okay, some notes. I ordered the wrong strut mounts for the front. I think I got the non-Carrera 4 ones, so that's a bummer. Okay, I'm gonna start messing with this front axle. It's busted. You can see the grease. This boot is done, and there's grease everywhere. So this is where my day ends. This is the inner CV boot. I got the outer one cut off, but I apparently need to remove this so I can slide the new boot on to the outside.
When I pulled the inner part of the CV joint off, all the ball bearings came out. So this axle repair took longer than expected. It made me almost want to just buy a new axle. But I got it. When I first installed the rear coilover, it wasn't even close to lining up with the wheel carrier or hub. And this is because I had already set the ride height how I wanted it. So the tip here is you got to kind of adjust the coilover in the car to make it work. So you have to relieve all that spring tension and then dial it back in.
If someone would have told me that I would be installing coilovers on a 911, my 911, ever, I mean, yeah, maybe later in life, but I'm so excited. I'm just finishing up the H&R coilover install on the 996. We have the rear in, we got the fronts in, and I guess at this point I'm kind of guessing on ride height, and so I'm gonna put the wheels on and drop the car and just see how it looks, and if it's not too bad, maybe go for a drive.
All right, so this is putting the car on the ground for the first time after the install. I was excited to see how it would sit.
All right, just got back from like a shakedown lap with the car. The suspension feels really good. I would say the bump compliance would be the same as the stock suspension. It doesn't feel doesn't feel harsh over bumps at all. You do feel like, you just feel like, I guess more, you feel the road more, but it's not a bad thing. It's a little tighter, but the ride quality on the H&R coilovers is, it's really good. So I need to adjust the car. You can see how low it is. Let's have a look. So really low in the back. Yeah, the front's pretty good actually. Maybe try and come up just a little bit. But you can see how low the back is. Yeah. Let's do an update on the 996 project. You can see it here. It's we got the front wheels off again. The coilovers have been totally installed. The ride height has been set. I took it for an alignment last week and they said the lower control arms were bad, and so I'm gonna put those on today. I rented a ball joint puller just to make my life a little easier, or ball joint separator, whatever you call it. And so I'm doing that. I also had the power steering line fix that I did not work. So I ordered something like this. This is copper, obviously. I'm using stainless. I'm gonna do a hard line and try and connect that with compression fittings underneath the car instead of the hose I had, because that popped off. I've pulled the side marker off the car here. You can see it's kind of like split here. So I just clean the surface there and use good old JB Weld here and do a repair. I just got the old one out. This is the passenger side. This is the one that was making most of the noise. If nothing else, it'll look cleaner. Bushings here and here seem to be okay. This one had a tear in the boot, so that might have been the clinking. These will match the new ones on the rear, so that'll be good looking. Okay, let's show off the new parts. Here's the new sway bar end link, and there's the new lower control arm. So looking pretty good. We got a lot of new parts in here. We got the coilovers. We got the strut tops, or the strut mounts at the top are new. And then the control arm looking shiny. And that sway bar end link there.